go, fire in my lungs.
There was a point, yeah. I moved out here when I was 19. I had never lived, away from home. I didn't know anybody out here. I knew that I wanted to play music. I knew that it wasn't going to happen, in my hometown, in a small town in Maryland. I just knew that it wasn't going to happen there. Came out here and I, ended up, living in a van with everything I owned on the streets of Los Feliz in Hollywood, and for like 2 weeks. Not a long stint, but a couple months of couch surfing, and actually I would say a couple years probably of couch surfing, and but you pay your dues, and I always figured that if I was at that point and it didn't deter me from wanting to still pursue music and make my dream come true and chase it, nothing could. No record label saying you're not good enough, or people, fans, or or people, I should say, saying the band sucks, you're not good enough. If living on the street in the back of the van will not make you turn around and go home, nothing will. So it was kind of a good thing in a way that happened. It toughened me up a lot. I always kind of thought, well, if I can stick that out, the rest is good. My brother played guitar when he was, a teenager, and I would sneak into his room before, whenever he wasn't home, really, and I would pull it out from under his bed, and I would tinker around on it, and when I was about 9, my mom was so gracious enough to buy me my first acoustic guitar at a yard sale for $5. And it just kind of went on from there. And I fell in love with the instrument. I loved playing it. I spent all day, every day. As soon as I got home from school, I was playing guitar. Before I went to school, I was getting up in the morning to play guitar, and it just carried through. And I've been fortunate enough to make a career out of it.
Involved with the calling?
I was in a band called Course of Nature for years, and we had a record out, we were touring, and as that record kind of came to a close and we stopped touring on it, I was in the studio with our singer, the singer of Course of Nature, and one of my good friends used to play with Alex in the calling, played guitar. He got offered a gig playing with another artist, and he took it. And a tour came up. Alex was putting out his solo record. We've all been there at the time, and needed someone to come in and kind of fill the spot for a while for some European tours. And he introduced me to Alex, and we kind of clicked, hit it off. And a couple weeks later, he called me up and said, "Hey, you want to go to Europe?" And sure, so. Came in and played, and learned the songs and rehearsed with them, and did a couple tours in Europe with Alex, and then we just kind of, at that point, we got along really well, became great friends, and it just kind of happened that, when it came time for him to kind of put the calling back together and sort of a new band in a new way and do a new record, write a new record, he called me up and said, you want to make a record, and really that's what happened. So really by chance, I just kind of knew the right person, and
Hey, crowd screaming now for a little more. Yeah, I've had enough. I've had enough. I've had enough.
Came down to Culture Labs in Orange County and hung out with you guys, and I got to tell you, one of the things was meeting, Patrick Walter was kind of a trip for me, and knowing that this guy, who you would never suspect is this brain, behind all this. I mean, he was a guru, I think, and to take an amp like this that is not a tube amp, and it blows the majority of the tube amps that I've played and I've heard out of the water. That really, to me, is, I don't know how you guys did that, but you did it, and the amp is great, and I've incorporated it into my rig, and I love the sound, and I'm like any guitar player, I'm a tone junkie. So admittedly. And I love it, it's worked out really well for me. So every guitar player is, you're constantly, I've been playing guitar for 25 years almost, and you're constantly as a guitar player trying to find the perfect tone, the right tone, and you're never completely happy. There's always something you want to change. There's always something different. There's always something that could be better. It would change if you had the know-how, or if you could talk to, a Jim Marshall or a Patrick Wilter, somebody who knows, and you could go, I just wanted to do this and that. And really this has what I would do if I could get in there and had to know how to actually make an amp and have it sound the way I want. It's really kind of there. So
that's a humbling thing to hear. Thank you, man. I'm really looking forward to hearing the new album coming out.
Yeah, the new album should hopefully be out by the end of the year. That's what we're pushing for. If not the end of the year, early next year. But we've got a couple projects that we're working on right now. We're getting ready. We've been in the studio working on a new record for about the past year and a half, and we're just now to the point where we want to start getting out and kind of playing some of these songs, new songs off the record for the fans, and introducing them to the new band.
Very nice. Now, what kind of guitars do you typically play?
My main guitar is an American Standard Tele. I love Fender. I'm a Fender guy. I was endorsed with Ibanez guitars for a long time. Still really am, and so I do use some of the Ibanez guitars. Another one of my favorite guitars is a ESP LTD. Which is they're all customized, and acoustically Taylor and my baby is a Gibson. The Gibson that's behind me there is probably one of the best sounding acoustic guitars I've ever played.